What's good, everybody? It's been a long time. It's been a very long time since I posted any videos, and quite honestly, haven't been posting a ton to social media recently. I did put some pictures up. Me and my family just got back from being down south, and we had an awesome time being down there with my North Carolina fam, and it's always great to go down and see them and spend some time with them. My daughters had a great time, my niece had a great time, and that's really what it's all about. But there's a lot of things I've been wanting to talk about, make videos or whatever. This is kind of the relaunch of Car Chronicles. There's a lot of things going on that I wanted to talk about, and kind of had some things on my mind and wanted to weigh in on some different topics and stuff. And this one I want to talk about now actually just kind of jumped up on me, if you will, this morning. I was searching through WorldStar, and I came across Donkey of the Day, the video for Donkey of the Day for yesterday, and it was about a father in Alabama who thought his son was gay, so he basically had his girlfriend rape and sodomize his son to, I don't know, fuck the gay out of him, I guess. And how he ended up getting caught was the son lives in Georgia with his mom. Went back home, started asking his mom a lot of questions about sexual behavior and stuff. His mom was like, her antennas went up. She's wondering what's going on. And her son told her what happened. And his mom drove from Georgia to Alabama to talk to the police about what happened. Obviously, that's a horrid story, not to mention the boy's 11 years old and autistic. Horrible story. The dad deserves whatever they do to him, point blank, period. His bail is $750,000 cash bond, and the girlfriend is actually now considered a fugitive because she didn't show up. She was released on bail, and she didn't show up to her court date. So now she's a fugitive. So both of them deserve whatever they get. It's not even a question. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They deserve whatever they get. Here's the part that really fucks me up, and this is what the video was about. Always say, if you want to see the worst of society, go to a comment section on a hot button issue. Because that's when people can really let their feelings out in the comment section because they feel like they can do it without any repercussions, without any consequence. So I'm on WorldStar, and I actually, as a quick aside, I actually talked to my therapist about this, and she told me, well, you might want to avoid doing this. And that's looking at the comment section of stuff, because it takes away my faith in humanity little by little every time. And I'm looking at the comments, and black men are saying, no, he should have got Father of the Year. The ones that really got me when they were saying stuff like, if that would have happened to me, I would have been fine with it. The one guy talked about now how true this is, no one knows other than this person who posted it. My dad had me fuck his girlfriend, and then I started fucking her on the side without his permission. blah, blah, blah. He was young when he said he was young when this happened. And they kept referring to this little boy, this autistic 11-year-old child, as that little faggot boy. So the video, the point I'm trying to get at, what I'm trying to say is, why in black culture, and especially black men, is it such a horrible thing to be gay, to be lesbian, to be transgender, bisexual, whatever it is? Now, I have my own personal opinion about it. I feel a lot of it has to do with the church. I did a video a long time ago where I was talking about a Pew Research study. I believe it was done in 2013 or 2014, where it said that 89 to 90% of African Americans identified as Christians. So, and I used to be one in that number. And if you're growing up and you're a young man or a young woman, and you're growing up with these feelings, you don't know how to explain it. You're a boy, you find yourself attracted to other boys. You're a girl, you find yourself attracted to other girls, whatever the case may be. And you spend most of your time in an environment that denounces, belittles, flat out disrespects what you are, then not only are you going to hide who you truly are, you're going to become, like one of the loudest voices against who you really are because you're hiding. And, you see it often, like the people who scream the loudest about homosexuality, at some point later in life, it turns out, they were gay the whole time. They were overcompensating and trying to hide the fact that they were gay. So I feel that this, it almost feels like a cultural homophobia stems from the fact that the vast majority of African Americans come from that environment, that church Christian environment that belittles and tells the gay community, the LGBT community, that it's a demon spirit or an evil spirit that needs to be prayed up out of you or whatever. So that's when I see these black men say, if my son was gay, he wouldn't be living in my house, or I ain't gonna have no gay son, point blank, period. And when I see that, it just, like, that's how I feel. That's where I feel it comes from. And my question is, why? Like, when you're a kid, you hear that stuff, you'll probably believe it because, another thing you're told in the church, they talk about the 10 Commandments, obviously, and one of them is obey your father and mother so your days will be long on the earth. So if your mother and father talk that way, you're going to think that that's the way it is. If your mom and dad are walking around letting the faggot word fly and dyke and all that stuff, and that's all they talk about when they talk about someone who is gay, even if they know someone who was gay, a family member, a friend, whatever the case may be, even in that particular circumstance, if that's all they talk about, if that's the only way they talk, then as a child, you're going to be like, okay, this must be normal. This must be, how it is. But then you get older, you get away from your parents, you get to see more things out there in the world, and you find out, like, wait a minute, this isn't right. you know, how my mom and dad was talking and what they thought was trash, quite honestly. And then you discover, you know, these people are people just like me. But you continue to echo the same beliefs that your parents had. Because you live in an environment, in a culture, that if you speak out against that discrimination, you'll be discriminated against. You'll be looked at as something other than who you are. So, basically, you know, saying all of that to say, like, I think a lot of it is fear. I think a lot of it is, you know, being afraid to actually stand up for what's right because you'll be looked at a different way. And I was one of those people. I came up in that environment, you know, whether it was friends, you know, hearing something in the church. Like, I'll never forget at my grandmother's funeral, you know, I'm sitting back there, I'm crying, I'm angry, I'm, you know, just so many different emotions. And the person who preached her eulogy started talking about homosexuals and how wrong that was. And I'm like, what the fuck does that got to do with my grandma? Like, I was furious. And that's basically like, it has become, it permeates our culture. And us, and when I say us, I mean my generation and future generations need to purge this from our culture, because it's very backwards thinking, and it doesn't lend itself to be part of the, you know, the collective society in the future. The one thing you don't want to do as society continues to advance is to be left behind. And if, as a culture, we continue to dismiss and degrade and disrespect the LGBT community, and I'm not speaking about every black person. A lot of black people are a part of that community. I'm talking about the ones who carry these things out. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If we continue to allow that to be the case, and it almost seems to like that's the majority of black folk, when I really don't think that that's the case, but it seems that way because you hear it so much. If we continue to let that be, we're going to be left behind as society continues to advance, because we're going to continue to have like these archaic views toward a certain segment of society, and society is going to move past that at some point. It's just like us with our rights and our liberties. You know, at some point, I mean, I hope it's very soon, at some point, if a segment of society continues to look at black folk as less than, they're going to be left behind as society continues to advance. And we have to look at it that way when it comes to other groups, other segments of society. Like, at eventually at some point, unless, you know, we all destroy each other, Trump hits that red button, you know, at some point, everyone is going to realize the dumb stuff. In order for society to advance, we have to put aside the dumb stuff. The differences that aren't that significant, but people put so much stock in, whether it's race, religion, you know, non-religion, you know, where you're from, what you believe, you know, sexual orientation, like all the different labels in society. You're going to realize that this stuff doesn't really matter. And the differences don't outweigh the similarities. And a future generation, hopefully it comes soon, is going to be able to look past all the differences and really begin to push our society forward in amazing ways. And, people are going to look back in the history books and see, quite honestly, how stupid humanity was for quite some time for allowing those differences to separate us from each other and really hold us back from becoming a better human population, if you will. So, really, it kind of tied all into a nice little bow, if you will. People just need to grow the fuck up. That's all it is. Having those beliefs as a kid, when you're surrounded by people who have those beliefs, is one thing. You don't really know better. But once you do know better, then you do better. If you choose not to do better, then you're a fucking idiot. And, in the case of this father, I hope as soon as he gets in prison, he'll be dealt with, basically, is what I'm saying. Karma's a bitch. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say to anybody who watches this video. As always, thank you. I love you guys. Anybody who watches anything I put up. And there's a few more things I have coming down the pipeline I wanted to talk about. And as always, anyone who has a comment, opinion, question, or whatever, either you can put it in the comment section of the YouTube page. I'm gonna put this up on YouTube, or you can put it in the comment section on my Instagram page. So I will get at you guys later. This is a little overcast today, a few little raindrops. Everybody stay dry. Have an excellent Tuesday, and I'll see y'all down the road.